Oh, can you do it one? Why one? Yeah, you would have been mad about it. Yeah, you're so chill.
I don't give a fuck anymore, dude. About life in general.
No, that makes sense.
I love that that's gonna be the first thing on this live. I don't give a fuck
You don't give,
anymore.
you don't give a fuck about life in general.
What's that movie? What's that movie? I'm thinking about ending things. Yeah, that's me.
Is that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Let me open these links.
Mm-hmm.
This entire show is just a show of links. I've got like nothing actually written in the document, so
Oh, that's good. That's how much we care.
it's I care. It's just
Oh, I know.
it's a lot of nonsense to put into the document, so the links make sense. Because we're basically just talking about Phil Spencer this week.
That's good.
Our boy. Billy S.
Philly S.
Get rid of that spoiler. We'll put up a little last week in games in the corner there. Ooh. Oh. Is that it? This one. Yeah. There we go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Ooh.
Ooga chaga, ooga, ooga, ooga chaga. Oh, so I saw that movie again yesterday, Guardians. Maybe I should just save it, but um yeah, that movie's great, dude.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Can't deny it. It's great. I started crying before anything happened because I knew it was gonna happen. And I was like, oh
damn.
fuck.
It gotcha.
It got me, dude. It's cute animals though. It's kind of manipulative.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. All right. But to start, here we go. Well, you got the document? You got some recent reviews in here?
No.
You want
Did
to
anything come out? I don't think anything come out.
Redfall.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Put that bad boy in there. But that's pretty much it.
Oof. Yeah, I'll put them in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No worries.
Should I just rock the sunnies this whole time? I feel like I'm vibing right now.
Rock the sunnies, my guy.
Everyone can think I'm hungover. Definitely not hungover. I'm actually not. What is up, boyos? Welcome to Last Week in Games, where everything is video games. My name is Jake. I'm joined by Nick. I wanted to start this just so out of nowhere. I wanted to catch him off guard, and
You sure did.
That's what I did. Yo, last week, and by last week I mean 2 days ago, someone egged my fucking car, dude. You believe that shit?
Why? Who did you piss off?
I don't know, dude. I was driving home. We saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and then we went to a bar afterwards, right? And then I'm driving home from that bar. A car drives up next to me. We're stopped at a red light. He gets a left green arrow, and as he drives away, someone out of the passenger side window just throws something, and I hear something hit my car, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? I didn't know what it was. I drove home.
Yeah.
I get home. I didn't even think to look because I'm like, I'm tired as fuck. It's like 2 in the morning. I just went inside and passed out. And then I came out in the morning and I look at my car and I'm like, oh my God, there's fucking egg all over my car.
Oh man. You had to clean it off real quick though, right?
Oh yeah, I cleaned it off. It's all good. I got, a hose and some car soap, and I looked up because I know egg can peel your paint or whatever. So it's like, how do I do this properly? So yeah,
God, that sucks, man. Fuck that. Fuck those people.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Random acts of rudeness, really.
Yeah, it had to have been like some rude ass teenagers or something.
Some fucking high schoolers with no respect.
Seriously, dude. I'm like, who in this economy? You're just throwing eggs around?
I've been throwing eggs. $7 eggs, man.
Yeah, do you realize how expensive eggs are, young man? You're throwing them at my car?
You don't seem too upset about it.
Well, it came off and it didn't peel any paint. I think I'd be way more mad if if it fucked up my paint job or whatever.
If it did some damage, yeah.
Yeah. Although I think my paint is covered under warranty, so we're good. Even if that did happen, but still, that pissed me the fuck off, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
You do anything fun over the past week?
Oh yeah, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy.
Shit movie, huh?
Yeah, so bad.
Marvel's dead. They're dead in the water. DC's in bad hands. It's over. Superhero fatigue, it's real.
It's I haven't really done a whole lot, man. I haven't done a whole lot. Just trying to relax. My body has gotten real tired. I just feel tired a lot. So
yeah, you've had a busy first couple months of the year. It's time to relax.
I'm still trying to get in the swing of things. I feel like
when you guys going on your honeymoon? When you guys doing that?
We've got one in June. We're using a friend's wedding as an excuse to extend our stay out in Cancun.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
So we're going like 3 days longer than we need to on that. And then also October we're going to the Mediterranean Sea.
Damn, you guys are double dipping on the honeymoons?
Double dipping on the honeymoons.
That's pretty tight. That's pretty tight.
So, because we figured, it's not going to be enough to just be in Cancun. We got people that we know, and it's not going to be our, thing. So we're like,
that's good. Because I've heard people, and I thought you guys were doing this too. Did I lose internet?
No, you're still here.
Oh God, my computer wasn't responding. It's good. We're here. But I've heard people be like, oh, we'll go later. We're gonna save up for a nice honeymoon or whatever, and then they end up like having a kid or whatever, and like life gets away from them, and then they just never go on that honeymoon. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear you guys are actually doing a thing. So
yeah, no, we're doing a thing. We're doing a thing so much that Daniel doesn't even have time off to do the thing. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm stealthily trying to change the title of this stream here. So yeah, man, that's exciting. I'm fucking pumped for you guys.
Yeah, man.
Did you know a lot of things happened in games last week?
I haven't really been able to pay attention to them. So this is going to be you're telling me kind of thing, and I'm reacting.
And by a lot of things, I mean like nothing fucking happened last week. So let's talk about that. It's going to be sick, cool. Dude. We're going to love it. Cool. Actually, there was a pretty big interview with our boy Philly S. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, our boy Herman Holst of PlayStation also had an interview regarding two very different things. But I think they're both very interesting. So let's get into that, huh? Starting off in the titties. These are some tidbits of news that we want to talk about. Okay. There was a Gran Turismo trailer. Did you see this Gran Turismo trailer? It's for a movie.
I did not.
Gran Turismo movie. It's an interesting concept for the movie. Do you know what it's about? Have you heard anything about it?
Nothing. Not a damn thing.
So I guess it's based on a true story where they got these people who are into Gran Turismo, right? Like super into the game Gran Turismo. And they're like, we'll have a competition, and whoever wins the competition can train to be an actual race car driver.
Okay.
So the movie's like that. It's like wasn't there like an episode? God damn it, this is the second week in a row where I'm referencing South Park, but isn't there an episode of South Park where like he's like really good at a video game and he has to like fight off God or something?
Probably.
It's like Butters is really good at the game or something. I don't know. Whatever. So I don't know. I guess it's based on a true story or something. I don't know. So
this looks really fucking dumb.
It looks cheesy.
Watching the fucking trailer, it looks so dumb.
Yeah, it looks cheesy.
in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, whereas all the gold people are like racing, are like using the control sticks to fly their drones or whatever in space. That's what it's giving me vibes of. Like they're not actually doing anything except sitting in front of a screen. And
yeah, it looks cheesy. Good cast though. Let me pull up this cast list here. Gran Turismo.
Well, you get Hopper from
yep.
And that's the
Stranger
only thing
Things.
that I've really seen.
We've got Orlando Bloom up in this bitch.
Oh, that's who that is. Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna butcher this man's name, but he's good. He's been in stuff. Jimon Hansu. He's been in some stuff. He's really good. He's like in Blood Diamond and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, there's some people in here where I'm like, okay, all right, yeah. But it doesn't give me enough faith to be like, this is gonna be a good movie, because David Harbour's been in some real shit movies. So I can't lie. That Hellboy movie, not good.
Really?
Not good. Very bad. Not his fault. Still bad.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
So this looks dumb as shit, I gotta say. I'm not listening to it with sound, but it looks dumb as hell.
What looks especially dumb about it is when they're doing the video game stuff, and it's like, this is so cheesy. But when it gets to like the race car stuff, when they're actually like training to be race car drivers, I'm like, this could be interesting, This could be something, I suppose. But
I probably won't see it.
Yeah, I don't think I will either.
Probably won't see it.
I see everything, and I don't think I'm gonna see it.
Unless it gets like crazy good reviews, I guess.
Yeah, but like they played I saw Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday, and they played it before Guardians, like the trailer. So I'm like, damn, it's like an actual movie. So there you go. This is barely news, but it is news nonetheless. There is an Xbox showcase that has officially been announced. Here's the write-up from IGN here, just quickly. Microsoft has announced that a new Xbox game showcase will be live streamed this June and will once again include reveals of upcoming Xbox games from both first and third-party studios. In addition, there will also be a Starfield Direct, a whole show dedicated to a deep dive on Bethesda's upcoming spacefaring RPG. As detailed on the Xbox Wire blog, the Xbox Game Showcase will be live streamed on Sunday, June 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. No specific developers or games have been teased, but naturally, whatever is shown will be our first look at what's coming to Xbox, PC, and Game Pass in the future.
June 11th? Give me the date again.
June 11th.
Okay.
At 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
So that is a Sunday. Dude. Last week in games. We'll just watch it live. Whatever.
That's the day before I leave to
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll watch it live alone.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
That's the day, dude. That's also the day after I move houses, so it's gonna be a rough one. Man. But I think I could get like a shitty setup going for just watching it in my room or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there it is. Xbox doing the thing.
But they're the first ones to say something.
You expecting anything big? We'll do a prediction show or whatever when it's closer. Dude, but anything?
Not a thing, man. Xbox has been behind the 8 ball.
Truly.
For a while now. Mm-hmm. For a while now. Like, what if they released Psychonauts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give them Hi-Fi Rush was good.
Yeah, but
Pentiment.
That just came out. Like Hi-Fi Rush was like they didn't expect anything of it, which is why they've super early released it. And they're like, hey, well, this game's out, by the way. And so
all their best games have been like just smaller, almost indie, even though they're not indie, but like let's take our big teams and just have a small group of people work on these games. That's where they've really shined. They haven't had like a big thing. The last thing they've really had was Halo, and that kind of
did bad,
kind of flopped a bit.
Because that game needs to get with the times.
What is it? It came out like a year and a half ago. We're on season 2 right now or something.
Are we on? I thought we were still on season 1.
Are we? I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, me either.
It's
there's a couple things that I'd like to see from them. You know, I want to see that new Hellblade game, which is weird because we saw like an in-depth gameplay thing last year. I thought for sure we would have seen it by now, but nope, still not around.
Still not.
We got that entire fucking direct where they're like, all these games are coming out this year, and like half of them didn't come out.
Yeah.
Where's that Indiana Jones game? You know, what's What's id working on? You know, there's so much.
They're gonna have. I mean, they have all the opportunity to surprise me, right? To be one of those things like, oh, I did not expect that coming. Oh, this looks really cool, but you know, we haven't seen games, so I can't. I feel like I can't trust them. Even right now, it's like, oh, this is coming out. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see let's see it. Yeah, and I don't understand why it's so hard to make games nowadays. You know, like I just don't get it. Why is it taking so long for games to come out now that we have hundreds of people on a team and like brand new software that's ease of use, it works, you know? I just don't understand why we have so many problems with, like, say Redfall got some bad reviews last week, and it's like, how in this day and age are we making games with these problems? If it boggles my mind. Yeah, like, some people are not doing their jobs, like QA testers or whoever it is, are not doing their jobs, or nobody's listening to them. Just like, you guys probably shouldn't put this out. It won't do well. I don't know. I don't understand. And Xbox has so many teams under its belt now, and nobody's working on anything. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something controversial here, because everyone loves to defend, you know, game developers and stuff, which I'm gonna slightly defend them too. But everyone's like, oh, video games are just so hard to make, which I'm sure they are. It's, you know, it's an entire process of just finding bugs and getting rid of as many bugs as you can before you release it. There's still bugs, but you just have to release it at a certain point or whatever. Right. But my opinion is, like with these big teams that Xbox has, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many people working on these games. They're trying to make these games too big.
Yeah.
Because, like I just said a second ago, you release a game like Hi-Fi Rush, and it's fucking phenomenal. And that was like a team of like 15, 20 people. So, and then, you know, you've got like a game like Stardew Valley, which granted it did take like, you know, 10 years for the guy to make the game, but it's just the vision of one man, and he made an excellent game by himself. So, you know, I think when you've got these teams of like 200 people, and then on top of that, having teams of 200 people, and you've got like 50 of those teams all working on different things, and then now you're trying to acquire Activision, and it's like, at what point does quality control just go out the window? You know?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's too many cooks is a good way of putting it. Yeah. And I feel like it's a lot of bureaucracy where it's like, oh no, we can't do that, and it's just like meetings on meetings where people just disagree and nothing ever gets done. Yeah. Instead of one guy going, we should make this, and you know, the studio's like, okay, that sounds good to me, and like you just follow the one guy's vision, or like a couple of people's vision who agree on stuff, just to be like, this is what the game should be, and the team just goes with it instead of battling heads where, no, it should be like this, no, it should be like. I feel like that is a huge deterrence, I guess. So
yeah, I mean, and it's like Sony has been pretty good at being like, hey, our lead guy is Cory Barlog, or our lead guy is Neil Druckmann, or our lead person is Amy Hennig, or whatever. But you know, it's a concern even for PlayStation now, as they keep acquiring different studios, and you know, they've been talking about leaning into live service games. Recently, they acquired Firewalk Studios. Also, recently they acquired Bungie. So it is a little concerning, even on PlayStation's end. Like, what are you guys doing over there? Like, what's going to happen? Honestly, we did just get God of War. We've got Spider-Man coming. Mm-hmm. They announced Wolverine, so they have stuff coming, but it is like, what does the future of PlayStation look like? And it is like slightly concerning. And this is my segue into the next little titty here. Herman Holst did a big interview with GameIndustry.biz. I'll leave a link in the thing, the description down below. Here, I'll put it in chat right now if anyone's interested.
There you
go. Maybe I'll do it in a sec. But I'm not going to read the whole thing. But basically, he just kind of talks about how, yes, they are leaning into live service games, but the term live service doesn't mean anything. This is what he says. He says, there is a risk that we talk about live service games in generic terms, as if it is a single genre or even a single business model. PlayStation Studios are making a variety of games that could be referred to as live services, targeting different genres, different release schedules, and at different scales. We are also creating games for different audiences, and I take confidence from our track record in creating worlds and stories that PlayStation fans love. I think that's like an interesting way to put it, but it does feel sort of like PR speak.
It's all of it is.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be PR speak.
Yeah, it's hard to say though. I get what he's saying. He's like, not every game that has a live service is Destiny. Right. We're also PlayStation, so we can release these games, and if they're not good, we've got the money to just pull it. And we'll have smaller ones. But I don't know. It concerns me a little. Like if you're pouring your time into this, and you also want to continue doing the first person, or not first person, but like the single player games. I don't know. Right. You get into that territory where we were just talking about, like, too many cooks in the kitchen. Or, this is my new favorite phrase. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, see, I think the best way that you get to do a live service game is exactly what Fortnite did, where they released a game and people played it and went, it's okay. And you had inside developers going, what if we did it like this? And like they made their own thing, and the company was like, you know what, this is pretty good, let's release this. So they changed it, released the game as a battle royale, and it blew up like crazy. Or even going back to Factions, how it was like, yeah, we beat the game, but while it was still being bug tested and whatnot, a couple of developers, started making a multiplayer experience just for the hell of it. And it was so good that it ended up just shipping with the game. And now we're going to have a standalone Factions game. Like, I feel like that's the best way to have a live service sort of game, is just an unexpected win. Like so many companies are trying to force the live service in such a way that they just don't understand what's going to work and why it's going to work. And I think that's kind of the I think that's kind of the downfall. It's just like, you never know what's going to come of it, but when it does, it hits. And I think you just have to, you just get lucky is all it is. And these big ass companies are trying to force the luck, which just seems very forced, for lack of a better word, and everybody who's buying it can see that. Like, sure, you'll try it, but is it going to be good? Is it going to have the same heart that Fortnite had? Is it going to have the same heart that Factions had? No. Like, and then if you're expecting to make $1 million jillion instantly on something that you barely put enough thought into, I don't think it's going to happen, and it's going to fail anyway, and you're going to lose out on a lot of money. So,
yeah, I mean, Rocket League is another great example. Where it's like, hey, we have this idea for this car game, and it sort of just, I don't think it launched as like a live service game. It was like, this is a multiplayer car game with a fun little story thing if you want to do it. And then it turned into this live service thing over time.
Yeah. That's another good example.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like, you know, if you've got a team like Naughty Dog, who's like, we're making a multiplayer game for, you know, The Last of Us Part 2, and then they're like, this is too big, and we want to do this. That's one thing, you know, where it's like, oh, that seems like a passion project almost. Like they wanted to do that. I don't think it's like PlayStation forcing that upon them. But then you're buying studios like Firewalk and Bungie, who are inevitably going to be pushing things like this on studios like Sucker Punch, who did Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which I thought was really fun. But like, what does Ghost of Tsushima Legends look like if you turn it into a live service? I don't know if that's fun or not. And I don't know if that's something they even want to make. They will say they want to make that, but I don't know. And I guess the only way to know is to find out.
To do it. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. You got to take the risk.
Yeah.
You have to take the risk. Even Destiny, when it came out, it was a live service game, but there was a lot of stuff that they had to completely change. Hell, they had to remake it. You know, Destiny 1 was not the ideal Destiny. So they had to come out with a whole nother game that went, you know, we didn't think it was going to be this popular, or we didn't think it was going to go in this direction, but it is. So we had to remake a whole new game. So Destiny 2, here you go.
Well, and Destiny was like its own thing too. It was like the first one to really do this sort of model. I don't think it was the first one, but it was one of the first ones to kind of do this model. And at the time, you know, Bungie had just gotten away from Xbox, and they're like, we want to make our foot, put our foot in the into the competition, right? And that was like a passion project. Like they wanted to do that, and now here they are, you know, nearly 10 years later, still making the same shit, making their game worse and worse. Like, it was great when it first came out. Even the second one, I was like, this is great. And as it keeps coming out, I'm like, this shit sucks.
It just keeps getting.
I know I'm in the minority there, but like, fuck. Yeah, like do something fresh, you know? I think it gets stale after 10 years of the same fucking shit. It's like, I want something different, even if it's like in the same universe, just something to expand, you know?
Just do something else. Destiny's story writing is terrible.
And I love multiplayer games. I love playing with the boys, but like, I don't know, when you're playing the same multiplayer game for fucking 10 years, it gets old, you know?
Oh yeah.
It's like, I need something else. Make something else. A different aesthetic, you know, something.
Just completely change it up. Like, keep the same shit, but change it up.
Yeah.
You know, just there's something about it. Make it third person. You know, for Destiny. Just change something about it.
Hermen Hulst also talks, the interview asks, like, hey, so games that are live service do better when they're on multiple platforms. What's up with that? If you're going to go into live service, are you guys going to go into multiple platforms? And all Hermen Hulst said was, we have made significant progress delivering games on PC in recent years. So where it makes sense for the game and the studio, it's a great option to have, but it's a decision that we will make for each individual game, which is kind of a nothing answer. But also, I think he's saying most of these games will be exclusive, at least for a while, is what I'm gathering. Or they'll just come to PC. They're never coming to Xbox, is what I'm gathering.
I think that's exactly what he's saying. It's like, we're doing it slowly to make the most money.
Yeah, we might come to PC, but never Xbox.
They're doing it right. You know, that it's kind of a dumb question to ask. I mean, I understand why you'd ask that question, but it's like, hey, you think you should change things up with the way you're making millions of dollars and keeping games alive over the course of 5 years? No, I think we're good. I think we're going to continue to do what we're doing and continue to make a whole bunch of money on the same game for years. And, you know, extend the life of it. Because, you know, when it comes, sure, if you release a game and it's only on PC or only on PlayStation, right? Then people play that game. They kind of get bored of it. They get done of it. People who don't have it on PlayStation have a PC. Game comes out a year later on PC, and there's crossplay. The people who are playing PlayStation will jump back into the game to help the PC players catch up or do whatever. There's going to be a release or something, and it's like you just extended your game life. Your numbers start going down. It's just like, whoop, here's some more people, and then you know that's just the way it is. It's a great business model to have, especially with the crossplay. If you could add crossplay to multiplayer games on that kind of stuff, it'd be fantastic.
I agree. Yeah, PlayStation's doing it. I mean, as long as when they port them, the games work.
The games work,
you know, because you know, with the Last of Us, it was kind of a nightmare. I think Horizon had some issues too when it came to PC. So I don't know.
I don't remember. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, we'll see what's up with that. But it's a very interesting little interview. It is a lot of PR speak, but it's pretty interesting. So definitely go read it if you have the chance. But speaking of interviews, Phil Spencer did a fully in-depth interview with the folks over at Kinda Funny on their show called the Xcast. And this was kind of big news because this happened right after what happened. We talked about it last week with the Activision Blizzard thing not getting passed in England, the UK. And then also right on the heels of Redfall being a huge disappointment. And I'm not going to read the whole interview because that would be ridiculous. It's like a 40-minute interview. But
I would walk away.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous. But I have some snippets here that we'll go over, we'll talk about. But I definitely think, you know, for anyone watching, like, it's definitely worth going and watching this interview because it's pretty fascinating. It's a different kind of Phil that I've never really seen before, where he just seems down. Like a lot of times you see Phil and he's like, oh, we're doing the thing. You know, like he's very up and he's like, I love video games. And this seems like a broken man. And to the point where I'm almost like, I wouldn't be surprised if Phil is gone in a few months.
That would not be good.
And like, I don't want to hate on Phil. He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
And he did kind of turn around the Xbox One generation, you know, after all that shit happened. But like, I don't know. He's been taking a lot of L's recently.
Oh yeah.
So maybe it is time for some new leadership.
Himself or Xbox in general?
I mean, he's the head of Xbox.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He's the one taking those L's. So
yeah.
Like, you're the one who allowed Redfall to come out in the state that it is. You're the one who, you know, allowed Halo to come out in the state that it is. Right. You're the one who's going after this Activision deal. Not that that's fully his fault, but like, I don't know. It's kind of rough. Is Game Pass working out the way they had hoped? I don't know. It's like really cool for consumers, but like financially, is it working? I don't know. But anyway, I'll start out with this little quote here. This is where he says, "We're not in the business of out-consoling Sony or out-consoling Nintendo." So he says, "We're not in the business of out-consoling Sony or out-consoling Nintendo. There isn't really a great solution or win for us. And I know that will upset a ton of people, but the truth of the matter is, when you're third place in the console marketplace and the top two players are as strong as they are and have, in certain cases, a very discreet focus on doing deals and other things that kind of make being Xbox hard for us as a team, that's on us and not anybody else. I see it out there. I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way. We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games. This idea that if we just focused more on great games on our console, that somehow we're going to win the console race, I think doesn't relate to the reality of most people. Interesting.
I think he's completely wrong there on that point.
Yeah,
I think he's 100% wrong.
I think so too. Yeah, I actually think so too. Go ahead.
The whole thing was like, you have to sell game. The whole reason to release a console is because you have the better games. You have games people want to play. And years ago, that was Halo, that was Gears of War, that was a Scalebound when they announced that. It was like there were games back in the day that were so good.
Fable.
People wanted to play those games, but in order to do so, you gotta buy the $500 console as well. Like PlayStation, I know that when Factions releases, I'm gonna have to buy another PlayStation 5 because Danielle wants to play that with everybody as well. So it's like, if they only release it on PlayStation, I'm going to buy another PlayStation 5. It's just that simple. It's like, yeah, people want to buy games. People want to play games. Spider-Man, Wolverine, Ratchet and Clank, doesn't even matter. Uncharted, Last of Us. They're going to buy the console. 110%. Nintendo, same thing. Pokemon, Zelda, Mario, all that shit. People are going to buy the console for the games. That's just how it is. If you're thinking Xbox at this point should just get out of the console market, they should just release all their shit on PlayStation and PC. It's not good for capitalism or whatever. Or I feel like they are going the route of like Sega. How Nintendo kind of beat Sega, and Sega didn't have the IPs to combat Nintendo. It was just like, oh well, we're done. We had Sonic. That's it. Like, okay, can't think of anything else, huh? So I have a feeling that's what's going to happen in the next few years. Is they're just going to stop existing as consoles, which sucks. But they've taken the steps to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. It's kind of their own fault, and they're stuck on games that are 30 years old that just aren't with the times, aren't innovative, aren't like, they're games that we've played. And I feel like acquiring Activision on top of that is a bad move as well, because sure, Call of Duty sells like hotcakes, but it's literally the same game. And
same with Bethesda. Like, they were just releasing the same shit over and over again.
It is not a good idea to do that, because as soon as people get bored of it, like Call of Duty, that's a tough one, because Call of Duty is one of those comfort foods where you come home and you're like, I can play 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, and play a match and get off and leave. Like, you have that sort of, what do you call it? The sort of liquid, the chance to do that with that game, and you know what you're getting into it. So the people that buy it for a specific reason. But games that are good, like actually good, are going to sell consoles,
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the bottom line. If they want to continue doing consoles and making consoles and being a competitor to PlayStation and Nintendo. They have to come up with fantastic games. They have to release something. You know, it's the only way.
I agree. It's kind of a weird thing to say. I get what he's saying as far as like that last generation was the generation where we're going to be backwards compatible forever now. Like we've got PlayStation is basically its own Steam now, just on its own proprietary box, right?
Right.
So I get what he's saying in that sense, but then you look at something like Nintendo, right, which was easily in last place during the Wii U generation.
Oh yes.
And they were able to come out with the Switch, which was like a great idea, and then on top of that, they had great games. But on the same token, you can make the argument that during the Wii U generation, there were a lot of great Nintendo games, and that didn't do anything for them. So I don't know. Maybe he does have a point. But yeah, it's what, like you were saying about games getting old, right? Like what does Microsoft have? They have Halo, which has been the same forever. They have Gears of War, which has been the same forever. If you look at something like Sony, they made Uncharted, and they're like, okay, Uncharted is getting kind of played out. Let's do The Last of Us. Or when God of War, right? Ascension came out, people were like, it was okay. Wasn't my favorite. They completely like rebooted that game. Or Horizon, which was originally the Killzone guys. They're like, Killzone, whatever that one was that came out on PS4. That came out and people were like, it's fine. They're like, all right, let's switch gears. Let's have
make something else.
Or even Sucker Punch. Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. 505 hasn't made anything except a Halo. And it's not even their own game.
Yeah.
Why not just give them the opportunity to prove themselves on something else?
Right.
You know, it's it boggles my mind how safe they're playing, and that's the worst thing you can do in the video game industry. Is play it safe.
And maybe they are getting out of the console market, and they're really just pushing into being PC and their own sort of like Steam or whatever, which is fine, I guess. And maybe their consoles will just be like a cheap alternative to PC gaming. But then at that point, it's like, well, I'll just get a PlayStation, and I think that's where a lot of people are, where it's like, I will just get a PlayStation. And if I want to play an Xbox game, I will get a PC, Like that's where I was like, well, if I ever want to play an Xbox game, it's on a PC, which I don't know. Maybe that's their whole goal. Maybe they don't give a shit about console sales and this is all they want. But, how does that work out for them in the long run? I don't know. It's hard to say. But moving directions here, Phil kind of mentioned the Activision deal. Here's a write-up from GameSpot. This just quickly. The CMA rejected the Microsoft deal over concerns about the cloud gaming market. Spencer, like others, said he believes the cloud gaming market is only just getting started, which makes the decision puzzling. Here's a quote from Spencer. The CMA decision was disappointing. We've been talking to that group for coming up on a year. They defined a market of cloud gaming that, in my mind, doesn't really exist yet today. But they have a point of view that maybe we have a lead in a market that is just forming, and that this content could somehow prohibit others from competing in that market. He said, Activision Blizzard King is not our strategy, but it is an accelerant for our strategy. That's kind of all he really said about it. I'm sure there's like a bunch of legal stuff where he can't talk about it too much, So all he really said was that, and that he said he's confident that in the coming months they will be able to turn it around. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, a couple of months. What is a couple of months in the video game industry?
Yeah, well, I think he means like, when the appeal happens.
No.
Yeah.
Oh. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm conflicted on the whole Activision thing, because on one hand, Xbox as the Xbox team is third fiddle to Nintendo and Sony.
Yes.
But on the other hand, they're owned by Microsoft. And that's the thing where I'm like, they're fucking Microsoft. If they weren't Microsoft and they were just Xbox, I'd be like, that deal would go through no problem. I think it's the fact that they're also Microsoft.
Could be.
Which owns everything, So I think that's where the trouble lies. He didn't really elaborate more. We kind of talked about it last week, and we said the same thing, right? Where we're like, it just sounds like the board there is predicting the future about cloud gaming. Yeah, but for him to say, Activision Blizzard King is not our strategy, but it's an accelerant for our strategy. Well, what's your strategy, Phil?
Yeah.
What's your strategy?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
How is this going to accelerate your strategy?
Yeah. What does that mean?
I don't know, man. It sounds just it's pretty dumb. But he sounds broken. You're absolutely right. It sounds like he doesn't really know. He doesn't believe in his company anymore.
Yep. And then he went on to talk about Redfall a lot. So, I mean, I'm going to try to piece together some stuff here just to talk about. So, I mean, he here at the start, he says, I'll just say all up. There's nothing that's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community. I've been part of it for a long time. I obviously work on Xbox, head of the business, have a lot of friends, get a lot of feedback. And just to watch the community lose confidence, be disappointed, I'm disappointed, I'm upset with myself. I revisit our process. I think back to the announcement of 60 frames per second, and then we weren't shipping 60 frames per second. That was our punch in the chin, rightfully, a couple of weeks ago. And then seeing the game come out and the critical response was not what we wanted, and it's just disappointing. What can we learn? What can we get better? One thing I'll fight is what went wrong. There's clearly quality and execution things we can do, but one thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations of our teams. Then a lot of people will say, hey, you've got teams. It's kind of hard to read because, this is like spoken word, so it's like a transcript. So
right, yeah.
Hey, you've got teams. Teams know how to do one kind of game. Just force them to do the one kind of game they have a proven track record for. I'm just not a believer in that. He goes on to talk about that. I mean, I don't think that's the issue with Redfall, bro. No. I don't think that's the issue with Redfall.
The issue is nobody was listening to the quality control guys.
So he does talk about that. And actually, the interview is great because Gary Whitta is there, and Gary Whitta just doesn't give a fuck, and I love that guy. He was pretty blunt about it. He was pretty like, you've got quality control. What happened? And basically what Phil Spencer said, I'm trying to find it here, but I can't. So I'll just paraphrase. Go watch the fucking interview. But basically what he said was like, we do have quality control. It was testing a lot better internally. And a lot of the reasons for that is, when you're doing tests early on, you're ignoring a lot of bugs and stuff because it's still in development. So you think it's going to be one way and then it releases and it's not. They don't fix those bugs or whatever. But then he also does go on to say, hey, we're going to go on and try and fix this game, make it 60 frames per second, fix all the bugs. But to be honest with you, we're not noticing any more bugs than any other sort of regular game. So ultimately, this is just a fundamental problem with this game, and that this game could have been or should have been sort of restarted from the ground up is kind of what he's saying.
What I haven't seen a whole lot is that the game is buggy. I've seen a lot of this game looks like just straight ass.
Here we go. Not to cut you off, but he says, quote, we do mock reviews for every game we launch, and this is double digits lower than we thought we would be with this game. That's one of the disappointing things. We would never strive to launch a game that we thought was going to review in the low 60s. It's not part of our goals.
No shit.
Yeah.
No shit. It's not bugs that is the problem, it seems. It's just that the fact the game runs at 30 frames, looks like a potato, and still runs at 30 frames. And mm-hmm. there you got to either fire your quality control guys or listen to them better. Like something's not going on there. Something is very wrong. Mm-hmm. And I would look into your quality control side and figure out why they were scoring it so high, before anything else. Like, hey, why did we score this so high? Why we could have pushed it back and had an actual decent game. But man, it must have been like somebody's bad day and just went, yeah, it's fine. Like somebody who didn't actually play the game, like their quality control guy was just like, yeah, it's fine. It's like a 70. You'll be fine. 75. It didn't actually do anything. I don't know. That's very questionable. That the game got out the way it did.
He goes on to say, in terms of commitment to the game, absolutely, the team at Arcane is on taking the near term feedback. We're still working on the 60 frames per second. We have good timeline for that. We're committed to getting that done, and we're going to continue to work on the game. We've shown commitment to games like Sea of Thieves and like Grounded to continue to go and build games. But I also know these games are $70. I'm going to take full responsibility for launching a game that needs to be great. There are still questions that pop every so often of how committed is the company to this category. When are we just going to push Xbox out of the market? There's a lot of Twitter firing of Phil right now, which is fine. I'm way overpaid for the role I have anyway. I get that's my responsibility, but we will remain committed to the game and the players as long as the players want to go play games. That's my commitment to the community. I'm kind of at a low point right now in terms of my delivery on that commitment to the community, but it very much stays. I want to support the team. I want to support the creative ambitions of the teams, and I want to support the players. We let a lot of people down this week with the launch of the game, but we will continue to strive on. You have to, right? That's what creative is about. This is a man who's like, fuck. Yeah. This is a tough week for this man.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It is crazy that I don't know what else to say. It's not 100% his fault. He's the boss. He can't be everywhere all at once.
Well, right? Here's a little interesting tidbit here. I think it's this part. Yeah. So what went wrong with Redfall? When we acquired studios, there's games that are in development when we acquire a studio, and then there are things that are either really early in development or not even conceived yet. We need to improve on engaging in games that are midway through production when they become part of Xbox. I do think there's a different expectation for a game and even a team when you've been third party and all of a sudden you become part of the first party. There's a different expectation in terms of how you're going to perform on our console. There's a different competitive set when people look at what this game is. And the other games, they're going to say, hey, I want this game to feel as competitive as other game on another console platform in our case. And we didn't do a good job early on in engaging with Arcane Austin to really help them understand what it meant to be part of Xbox and part of first party, and use some of our internal resources to help them and move along that journey even faster. So we left them to go to work on the game. They're a very talented team. I love that team, and I still do, and I will totally bet on them doing another great game. When Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios, and Jamie Letter, who runs ZeniMax, and I sit down, I think we're going to engage earlier with our different studios. Thinking about how our internal process of devs, assistants, even some of our ATG resources and how those work with the internal teams, I think we can do better. We did a better job with Starfield. Again, nobody should believe that until they're playing the game, but that game was early on in production, and it was easier for us to swarm a bunch of people to go and help some of the technology on our platforms to ensure it's going to ship a quality experience there. So that kind of confused me. for a couple reasons, right? For one, like, how long ago did they acquire Bethesda? Like fucking like 4 years ago? Are you frozen? Shit. We lost the man. Fuck. Sapon?
There I am.
Oh my god, you missed that entire quote.
It's okay.
Yeah, so I was just saying, like, how long ago did Bethesda buy, or how long did they get bought out? Like, it's been a while, right? Like, fucking.
It's been a while, yeah.
So
yeah, it's at least 2 years.
So I'm just confused on why Redfall got less love than Starfield, even though Starfield is coming out this year. Yeah. So, like, if that was early on in development, and it's a much bigger game than Redfall, I'm assuming. That statement just can't be true. It's just like he's just saying, "Don't worry, Starfield is great." And it does kind of sound like he's just throwing Arcane Austin under the bus a little bit. Which understandable, but like, again, you are the boss, and when you acquired this studio and you're like, this game ain't working, maybe you should have just canceled the game, took in the loss,
or changed something about it,
or just made it a smaller game and like just shadow released it or something. Because what the fuck, because you guys also were able to release Hi-Fi Rush through Bethesda, and you could tell like Xbox had a hand in that shit. So like, what the fuck happened here? And this is what I mean when there's too many cooks in the kitchen. When you've got 60 different studios working on 60 different games, and each one of those studios have 200 people working at them, if not more. Like Bethesda Softworks itself probably has way more than that.
Right.
Like, how is Phil and Matt Booty, the Booty, how are they supposed to stay on top of that? Like, I just don't think it's feasible, you know, because then you've already got all your studios that you were already working with. Bethesda is its own can of worms. Like, and now you're trying to get Activision. Like, it just sounds like too much shit, dude.
Yeah.
Where Sony's been they have made a lot of acquisitions recently, but their acquisitions have been like, we bought Bungie, which is one studio. We bought Insomniac, which is one studio. When Xbox is making acquisitions, it's like, we're buying Bethesda, which is like fucking 13 studios or something. Yeah,
it's crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah. So I feel like they made the Bethesda acquisition, and they've been fucking floundering ever since to figure out what their first party development looks like, you know?
Yeah.
So
what have they produced that's first party? You know?
Yeah.
It's not a whole lot. So I don't even know if they have like, for first party for Xbox almost doesn't exist, I want to say, at this point. Halo?
They do. They just don't have an identity like PlayStation does, I feel.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, they don't, that's what I mean. It's just, they don't have that identity is the perfect word. They don't have that identity of what a first party game looks like or means to them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you have to define that before you can release
I'm with
release a first party game.
Yep. So kind of an interesting interview, like an interesting side of Phil that I've never really seen before. So definitely worth checking out if anyone's interested in that sort of thing. Nick, what you been playing? What you been playing, dog?
What have I been playing? Not much. I played a little bit of Jedi. You have on here Jedi game.
Yeah,
I've been playing a little bit of Jedi game.
Yeah, just call it the Jedi game.
I've been also playing Jedi game. Not a whole lot of it. I've been really busy.
Yeah,
just doing other things, getting into the swing of things. So, I will say, PC version of Jedi game, bad. It's bad. I mean, the exploration makes sense. The little tiny guys that you fight, the one-off like scattered around robots that you fight or whatnot, pretty good. Feels good. Looks good. Plays good. As soon as you get into a boss fight that has any sort of particles, which was the Rancor with the water, and then there was a frog thing that I tried to fight, literally couldn't do it because it was so laggy, and so the frames were just all over the place, and it would slow down and speed up, and it would flash red for a second and then it would be on top of me, and it's like, oh, you're dead now. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. So I just decided to skip that. But boss fights are garbage, just terrible. The one at the end with the guy in the tube, that one was okay. Yeah. That one worked. But it seems like anything with water on the ground is like a big no-no. Like for some reason,
can you adjust that?
Water? No, you can't adjust shit in the game.
You can't adjust like the water shaders or whatever.
It's all general. It's like distance shaders. It's like a couple of things, and I would turn the water down to 0 if I could, but there's no adjustment for water.
Could you imagine swimming, but it's just like nothing, and you're?
Oh yeah,
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
but it's a good game. I can see it's a good game. The combat is not very snappy. I wish they did something else, because in the first game, the combat's it's very like muddy. It feels very, you press a button, he does the thing, but then you're like stuck in an animation that you shouldn't be stuck in, or like it takes a minute, or you block. But
did you notice this in the first one? I noticed this where you press square twice, but you press the square during the first animation.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. I press something else, but it still has to go through that second animation. Yeah. Terrible. Yeah. I haven't noticed that. I haven't noticed that as much with this one.
Yeah, it's a little better in this one, but also
I think so. I like the stances and stuff. Like
the blocking doesn't work all the time. The timing is very weird. I don't understand why the enemies flash red if it's not a timed based thing. It's like, hey, flashing red, it's unblockable, but also we're not going to tell you, like, it's like baby's first Dark Souls, but it's not very good. Mm-hmm. It's like baby's first Dark Souls if you want to be frustrated that the controls aren't working. And I feel like that's what it is. It's a fun game anyway. Like, it's not so bad that you can't play it, but it's just, it could feel much, much better.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been playing the PS5 version. I think you're a little bit further than me, but I've been enjoying it. It runs pretty well. I feel like it runs like just as well as the first one.
Yeah.
Much prettier.
Is okay.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Yeah, that first one has some issues, but like it's a much prettier game. I think it looks better. I like the stances. It just kind of switches it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I will say
honestly only stuck with the single blade.
So far, single blade, and then if there's a lot of people, I'll pull out the double blade, or like the
double bladed.
Yeah, double bladed, not the dual wheel
blade. Yeah. Oh, I like the dual wheel better than the double bladed.
I thought I would like it because I've had a hard time parrying in this game. I feel like you have to hit the parry button like super early in this game, and it freaks me out. I just can't figure it out. So I was like, oh, I'll use this dual wield because you press triangle and you parry, but like half the time I feel like it doesn't work. And it's just frustrating. It just feels like a waste of a button. So I've been doing the single blade, and I'm waiting to get the other stances because I know they exist. And I think I might like them. At least the crossbar sounds cool, and the gun.
Oh so. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I've seen gameplay with the gun, and I'm like, this looks kind of shitty.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't look like there's a whole lot of animations or stylish at all, or it makes really sense why he would be fighting with a gun.
It's cool,
but
that's why
that crossblade, the crossblade is gonna be sick. I feel like I like the heavier feeling stuff anyway.
I do appreciate they added something, and it seems like it's part of every stance, so you can add it to any of them. But I remember in the first one, I'm like, why can't I throw my lightsaber? It seems like you can actually do that, so that's nice.
You can.
I haven't unlocked it yet, but I've seen gameplay of it, and I've seen the upgrade symbol, and you're like, oh, that's a throw option. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's good. I've also been playing.
I just actually unlocked that too.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, you can do this? And I did it. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, dude. I'm going to use this a lot more. So.
Yeah, I've also been playing Octopath. Still trudging through it. I've been dog sitting for my father, so I haven't had any of my consoles except for my Switch. So I've been putting a lot of time into Octopath, and it's an enjoyable game. It's enjoyable. Although I wish I was watching my dad's dog next week, because that's when fucking Tears for the Kingdom comes out.
Oh yeah.
I would love to just spend all this time playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted in life because I want to play more of the Jedi game, but I also want to play Tears of the Kingdom. So I'm like, What do I do? And I still haven't beaten God of War.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to beat God of War. I don't know. Maybe one day. Hopefully.
I probably won't. It's not one of those games that really grabbed me.
It's not grabbing me. Jedi has grabbed me more than both of them. I played Fallen Order too, and that grabbed me more than the God of War thing had.
Yeah.
Maybe in a different life.
Weird, isn't it?
If I was younger, it probably would have grabbed me more. I don't know.
I don't know. There's just something about it that it's
not fun.
I don't know, very middling about it. It's just like, okay.
There's something about it for me where I just feel like it's not fun. And like,
I get it.
Especially playing Fallen Order, where you're like, oh, you're just like hopping around, having a good time. You're going down these slidey bits, and you have to like control your guy to get around these things. And then there's like a bit like that in God of War, but it just plays itself. Like, you can move, but it makes no fucking difference. And it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of shit like that in God of War where it's like, this is kind of boring. I'm just walking a lot and not doing anything.
Yeah.
And then there's a fight sequence which is really good. I think the combat's like really fun, but like it's so spaced out and annoying to get to, and like, I don't know.
It's hard to put your finger on it, right? It's just like there's a guy here and there's a guy over there and a couple of guys over here, and nothing really feels good in it. You know, it's like,
I like the combat a lot, but like I said, like in between combat, you're just walking on a fucking path.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a puzzle that's interesting, but like most of the time you're walking slowly, talking to some fucker, and like, I don't know, it's just kind of, I'm over it.
Yeah. No, I get it. 100%.
The story is interesting though. Like, I'm totally into it. It's just like, I don't know, man.
Can I get this in a movie, please?
Yeah. Can this be over? It's too long. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Anyway. Dude, we'll get a lot of hate for that. I'll post that. I'll post that solo.
Post it. I don't care.
God of War sucks. It doesn't. It doesn't suck. It's just like, I don't know.
It's just, there's something about it that is just not.
It's not fun. Game of the year. Shouldn't have won Game of the Year. Did it win Game of the Year?
I don't think it did.
Oh, good. I think
not a whole lot of people got to play.
Oh yeah, Elden Ring. Elden Ring. Fuck. Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, that deserved it more.
I'd like to thank my President Bill Clinton.
That's right. Recent reviews via OpenCritic. Of course, we've got Redfall sitting at a 60. 60.
Don't buy this game.
On OpenCritic. Jesus Christ. And that comes from 97 critic reviews as well. So like, that's a good chunk of people.
The only review that was over 30.
I don't know, dude. Do I download it and try it out? I have Game Pass just to like report back.
And then you can.
I don't know. I'll think about it. Next week in games.
It always looked bad though. Redfall always looked bad.
It looked bad, but I didn't think it would
for this game.
It looked bad, but I didn't think it would be this bad. Like a 60 is pretty fucking scathing these days. Like, you don't see a game in the 60s a lot, especially a AAA game. Like, it's pretty rare to see that. So
is it technically a AAA game?
Yeah, it's Arcane. It's the guys who made fucking Dishonored, dude.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like that, man.
It's pretty fun.
Dishonored was bad too, but you know that's my own personal take.
Come on,
so they made my own personal hot take.
They made Dishonored, Dishonored 2, and Prey were the games that they.
I heard Prey was pretty good.
I heard that too.
I heard Dishonored 2 was good too, but I didn't like it.
I didn't like it as much as the first one. That first one hit real good for me. Maybe I was just like in the right headspace when it came out, but the second one didn't hit as hard. Anyway, next week in games, pretty wild week in games. We got Darkest Dungeon 2 coming to PC on May 8th, baby. Let's go. I want to play that too. I'm like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do with my life? Wise 9, or yeah, sure. Monstrum Nox comes to PlayStation 5. Get hyped. May 9th.
Okay. I think it's Ys
9.
Ys 9. I don't know. I don't play the YS games.
I had an aneurysm there. I'm like, how do I do Roman numerals? The Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle Earth comes to iOS and Android. Shout out, May 10th. Death or Treat comes to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC May 11th. Marvel's Midnight Suns finally comes to consoles, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, I should say, on May 11th. And The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom comes to the Switch on May 12th. And also, let me shout out here that there is a Treehouse on the 11th, which is going to go like in depth on the gameplay and stuff the day before it comes out. So if you're interested in that, there you go.
The day before it comes out.
So people, if they're on the fence, they can see that and be like, damn, this looks cool.
Would be me.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Danielle's going to get it, right? Like that's her shit.
She is not. She's playing through the first one. She's not having a good time.
Really? She didn't play it when it came out? That's like her boy.
She couldn't beat it. It is. Here's another one of my hot takes. It is not a good game. Not even a little bit.
I never heard this hot take from you, Nick.
Yeah, I know. It is not a good game.
I don't think you're alone. I don't think you're alone, bro, but
there's something it's
in this room so right now, you're alone.
I get that. No, yeah, I get that. And I respect anybody that, disagrees with me for sure. Because, everybody's got their thing. But also, it's probably one of the worst open world games just ever. It is. I've been watching Danielle play it, and it's like, man, this could have been really good, but the things that they did were just like, this is so stupid. It's like this is the dumbest.
Pulpinator, he's talking about fucking Breath of the Wild right now. That's what he's talking about.
I watched her get to the camel boss, the camel, what are they called? Sacred.
Oh,
sacred
fuck,
animals.
You got Pulpinator on your side. Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I watched her get to, and she has to like tame this fucking walrus thing, right? And then slide on her shield, which doesn't break like anything else. Everything else in the game fucking breaks, but the shield that she's sliding on that has been taking more damage from the fucking ground isn't breaking. Anyway, she's riding on this walrus, and every like 15 seconds she has to like make it go faster, and this thing is like in the middle of a desert, in the middle of nowhere, just in a flat line with nothing to look at, into this fucking sandstorm to find this fucking thing. And it's like, you just wasted 10 minutes of your life getting to this thing. That's it. You just wasted 10 minutes. There was no faster way of doing that except for riding this walrus into the sandstorm. It's like, this is so dumb. This game does not appreciate your time.
That sounds tight.
The slightest.
That sounds tight.
No, that sounds awful.
Sounds tight. Awful. Sounds like something you could just stumble upon. Sounds cool.
Boring. No. Why? I wouldn't even want it. I'd be like, this. There's nothing here.
Well, you don't have to. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, you can.
You can do that if you want to. You're like, oh, I don't want to do that. You don't have to.
Yeah, well.
And you turn around and there's a whole world of other things to do.
There's not. There's a whole empty world of nothing to do.
I've said this before. I've used this example before, but I think it's just such a good example of why I love Breath of the Wild. I remember there's a time where I was just walking through this thing, and I'm like, oh, what's this here? There's like a spiral on the ground. This is interesting. What is this? And then I kind of like look around, and I'm like, what the fuck? What am I looking at here? And then the spiral sort of ends, and you're like, what? And then I see a hill, and I'm like, oh, what's up on that hill? And I go up on the hill, and I find like a ball, which leads to the spiral. And I'm like, and there's a bunch of things to like fight up there and stuff. And I'm like, that is such great level design. It didn't tell me it was there.
No.
It just caught my eye. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it led me to this spiral, and then it opened up a shrine. And I'm like, that's so good. That is such a genius level design. It didn't tell me where it was.
You finished the shrine in 2 seconds, and it got a heart.
Yeah, it's great.
Wow, such good gameplay. And that was another thing. The rewards in this game suck ass. They are so bad. You get a heart. Whoa.
And stamina.
Or stamina. You get to choose, and you have to do it 4 times in order for it to actually even matter. And it is horrible. It does not feel good to do anything in this game.
I just completely disagree. But I'm sorry you feel that way, dude.
Yeah. So maybe
sorry
maybe
your tastes suck. Sorry.
Maybe it'll be better with these floating islands that'll have nothing on them.
Listen, if you don't want to play Zelda, you don't have to. Okay.
I mean, I might.
I think it's a decent game, just a really bad Zelda game. I just don't stand by that. I don't stand by that bullshit because I think, not that your opinion is bullshit, Volpinator. I love you. You're my best friend. But but like I just feel like every Zelda game is different. And this game was different. And to say it's not a good Zelda game just isn't true. Because like if you think it's a decent game, then it's a decent Zelda game because every Zelda game is fucking way different than the last one.
Yeah. I agree with that. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I get that some people prefer a different type of Zelda, like you want a more dungeon-based Zelda or whatever, and that's fair. I get that. Yeah. I like that too. It's a rule in my life. I've made this a rule a few years ago that every year I need to beat at least one Zelda game. That is a rule in my life. So I get it. And some of them I like more than others. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Ocarina of Time. It's great. It's got dungeons and shit.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it's pretty like, I don't know. It's pretty obtuse. I don't know. You compare Breath of the Wild to Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time is like way harder to play, in my opinion. And like the gameplay's worse.
Yeah,
and, I don't know. Combat's way better in Breath of the Wild. I think that's the one thing Breath of the Wild you can
see. That was another thing that I hated in Breath of the Wild.
I feel like that's undoubtedly the worst take ever because I think that's the one thing that's not even arguable. Like the combat in Breath of the Wild is so unique and fluid, and you could do. There's so many variations of ways to do it.
You can do anything you want. There's a lot of ways to beat an enemy, but a lot of the time you're just going to be running around whacking the same spot over and over again because that's just the easiest way to do it. Is just to fucking smack a thing with a sword over and over again, have that sword break, pull out another sword, smack it again over and over again until it dies. Like, it's just easier to do that than to figure out anything else about it. Just it's another thing that I don't like in that game is the combat.
Yeah, I wish there was more enemy variety for sure, but I thought the combat was really good, especially when you're fighting one of those big guys. It's really fun.
Which big guys?
There's big guys roaming around, big old boys, big old fat boys just walking around.
There's like rock guys with like a weak spot on their back is what I was kind of referring to, and they have like a whole buttload of health.
The Lionels, yeah, maybe that's it.
And it's just like this is just taking too long. Like, this does not feel good.
Well,
I'm actually kind of bored with the way that it's.
You know why it was taking so long? It's because you're bad.
No, I've like literally, it was just one of those things. Like, this is how you beat him. You hit him in the back.
Yeah, the Lionels are one thing. Yeah, the like mentor horse people, man. I don't know what.
No, I don't. That's not what I'm. There was a rock guy with a.
Yeah, the rock guys are okay.
It's just not fun.
Big enemies in Zelda. This is so unimportant, but I'm looking it up now.
All right.
We got Calamity Ganon. Of course, I like the final boss too. God damn, that was cool. Yeah, those big
get to him.
Those big fat dudes with the big giant eyes. Yeah, those guys too. Those guys are fun to fight. Yeah, I don't know. There's some fun stuff. I wish there was a little bit more variety, but ultimately I thought I fucking love that game. But to each their own. Yeah. Bitch.
All right. I mean, you like what you like.
All right, here's the deal, everybody. We're about to do a fucking Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 spoiler cast. So check that out on YouTube. It's going to be there. Also, we're going to do it live here on twitch.tv/lonercast. So if anyone is in the chat, hasn't seen the movie, they don't want it spoiled, come back later. Or just get it spoiled. Whatever. Who cares?
Whatever.
Stick around. Get it spoiled. Who cares? Also, you can check us out on Twitter. I don't know. I don't really use Twitter anymore. I came back to Twitter for one day, and I said, hey, I'm back on Twitter just to say fuck fuck Elon Musk. And then I haven't posted since. Nice. So my Twitter feed is literally just links to my fucking Twitch, just over, because it auto posts to my Twitter. So if you're interested in that, knowing when I go live on Twitch, you can follow at @emergencypizza_. Nick, I don't.
And it might change a whole lot because we're still trying to figure out this new schedule.
Yeah, true. Well, that is true.
So if you want to know when exactly we're going online, we don't have a date set yet, so it's a good spot to keep an eye on.
Yeah. You can follow Nick at @fatal_microwave. I don't know if he posts either.
I don't post shit. I just like shit. I'm a freaking lurker on Twitter.
That's I know. It. I miss lurking on Twitter. When I got my new phone, I just didn't download Twitter.
That makes sense.
So then I
get so bored with like other things though. Like if I'm not a huge social media person, but if I am like not doing anything, I get bored on social media really quick, and I have to switch between a whole lot of them.
I agree with that.
Like not go insane if I'm like sitting in a waiting room waiting for an appointment or something. It's just like, okay, well, the next one, and that's kind of where I'm at.
I really miss Twitter though, because a lot of people I followed were like gamer people, and like people who post gamer stuff, and like I follow a lot of political people who post like political news and stuff. So it's like a good way to get some news. But like, I don't know, out of principle, I'm just like kind of over Twitter. So maybe I should just get back on and just lurk, and not post anything. I just wish people would I wish people would just like pick something like, hey, let's all move to somewhere else, Yeah. Like fuck Twitter, or maybe we could like just edge Elon out, but they're not public anymore, so I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, and check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/lonercast. Check out our YouTube channel. We post all this shit on YouTube. And also we're on like Spotify and other things. Google Podcasts. You can find us there. Last Week in Games.
We're there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Vulpinator. I love you, man. I'm sorry I insulted you. I meant the royal you.
What? The royal you?
Yeah, because I was like, your take or whatever. I didn't mean you. I meant like you.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, He knows. He knows.
He gets it.
He knows.
I get it. We get it.
Volp raided me the other day, and I appreciate that. And it was right when I was ending stream too, and I felt so bad.
Oh my god. It's always that way.
Yeah, right?
Always that way.
It's like I could keep streaming, but I have work in the morning, so I can't. Let me just pull up a quick little Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Plot synopsis.
What? Oh, discussion, review.
Just something to look at. Guardians Volume 3 Wikipedia. Is it on?
Oh, I see.
Oh, wow. Someone was already on Wikipedia, uploaded this shit. Love that. Okay. And then let me pull up the MCU list. We need to do a fucking thing. We need to move these into categories. Oh, we already did, but we need to like do it more officially.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. Fine.
It's fine for now.
This one's easy. This one's an easy category.
Oh fuck. Yeah. D tier.
Wow.
All right. Here we go. We're spoiling, boys. Go ahead, Nick. Take it away.
Hello, boyos. Welcome to the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 discussion, review, rating via your favorite two boys, the Loner Cast. My name is Nick. To my left, I don't know about you guys, but he's to my left. To my left is Jake. How are you doing, Jake?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. So
fantastic.
Nice. Just living life. We just did a podcast. It was fantastic.
All right. Yeah, we just did a podcast, and I don't know why I asked you how you're doing, because we've literally been talking for about an hour, so I've already known. And let's jump right into it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is our discussion. I'm gonna pass it over to you. What do you think of this movie?
You know what? Let me just tell you right now. I'll tell you straight. I'll give it to you straight, Nick. I fucking love this movie, dude. I really, really like this movie. And I saw it again. So we saw it together on Friday. And it is now Sunday. So I saw it again on Saturday. And there's just so much going on in this movie, which I think if it were a lesser writer-director, it would have felt like too much.
Too much, and it would have been a much faster. A lot of things wouldn't have gotten covered that needed to be covered.
But there's just this, James Gunn just has this way of making you believe in the characters and really love these characters, and even newer characters. You really get it. For example, and we're in spoilers here, so we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's spoiler territory. If you haven't seen the movie, you might want to go watch it and then come back to this video.
Yeah.
Just join the discussion.
Or you can just get spoiled.
Or you can get spoiled if you enjoy that too. I know Jake likes to get spoiled.
Yeah, I'm all about it. But for example, to make a little bit of a comparison between this movie and Ant-Man, the new one. In Ant-Man, we got...
Is there really a comparison?
Well, you'll see. We got MODOK, right? We got MODOK. And then MODOK has this transformation where he's like, I'm a good guy now, and I'm going to help you save everybody. But it felt so out of nowhere. All she said to him was, don't be a dick. And he's like, you're right, I shouldn't be a dick. But in this one, we have Adam Warlock, who goes through a similar sort of thing. And it was so simple how he did it. But that's all it takes, is something so simple for them to be like, he's like, why did you save me? And he's like, everyone deserves a second chance. And he's like, fuck. Yeah. And they also played the role like, hey, Adam Warlock is like a baby. He doesn't understand things. So it made sense when he turned and saves Peter at the end. You're like, that makes sense. But when fucking MODOK saves them, it makes no fucking sense. You're like, why? Why? So James Gunn just has this way of just doing very simple, subtle things,
explanations for simple things
to make you care about these characters. And it's always something so simple, I
agree. I loved Adam Warlock's character in this. I like MODOK's character in Ant-Man just because
he's
the
funny.
Character of MODOK is kind of stupid. In general, and they do kind of make him stupid. And in Ant-Man, it's like, okay, yeah, but then he's got that change of heart that makes zero to no sense. And it was like, whatever. It's just a stupid movie. And that's what it was. But this was like, this movie had so much fucking heart. You could feel every decision and any emotion that is in the movie, you feel that emotion and it means something to you in the moment. There were times in this movie I was holding back tears, just oh shit, man, nobody can see how much of a bitch I am, in the movie theater. We're in a packed movie theater. I'm like, and I'm not a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan. The first one was really good. I really enjoyed the first one. The second one, I didn't really care a whole lot. And this one is man, even some of the characters who I feel shouldn't have been buds, you feel that they were buds.
Can you give me examples? Who are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking Rocket and Nebula.
Yeah.
Like
but when you think about it, it makes sense.
I've never really thought that they would be buds, or even Nebula with anybody, really. I've always thought Nebula was the cold one. But like in this movie, it's like she literally cares about everybody in this movie.
When she starts crying, when she finds out Rocket is alive, you're like, damn.
Actually because made it through.
Then you think about it and you're like, during Infinity War, from Infinity War to Endgame, it was just the two of them.
It was just the two of them. Yeah.
So like they probably really bonded. And there's a little scene, I don't know if you caught it, where he says to the Guardians, where they're like all running one direction and him and Nebula go the other way. He goes, "Me and Nebs are gonna go this way." And I'm like, Nebs, they're besties, dude.
I didn't catch
and
that.
At one point she calls Mantis Mant, and I'm like, these guys are like best friends, you know? And like and they've done that over the 3 movies like so beautifully, where like the first one they're kind of like conflicted, the second one they're like really starting to bond, and like they have a little bit of conflict, but then in this one you're like, oh, these guys are they're family.
Yeah, so that really surprised me. And like we don't get to see the bond that they make, but you can see it, the creation of the bond. Like you can see there has been time past and stuff that has happened off screen that
they have gone on some adventures for sure.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Like you feel the connection, and that's hard. It's very hard to do something like that. Just in general, even showing it, like giving characters a good relationship by showing it, because a lot of times it's like, I don't believe their relationship, but this is like they didn't even need to show you how they got to this point in the relationship, and you can still feel that they're actually, you know, family, best buds. And I thought that's incredibly impressive to me.
Yeah, and I think that goes out to for a couple reasons. For one, we got like the setup over the past, I want to say 2 movies, but it's actually been like 4 movies, because, you know, we got Endgame and Infinity War, which I think also expanded upon that. I would say Infinity War is almost like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie in and of itself, because they're like a huge part of that movie. But so like we've seen them kind of bond, and then we also had like the holiday special, which I think expanded upon Nowhere a little bit. But then on top of that, I think it also goes to the director for being able to direct his actors, and the actors for just giving incredible performances. I don't think there was a single bad performance in this movie.
No.
And I've noticed that with James Gunn movies. For one, in interviews, you can just tell all the actors really like him. They're like, he's a good dude. I would hate to say that, and then one day something comes out about him. But anyway, for now, I'm going to say people seem to like him a lot. And
meet your heroes.
Yeah, for sure. And every time, you know, he has a movie come out, every performance is good. It doesn't matter what movie it is. He did a movie with fucking Rainn Wilson, right? The guy who played Dwight, called Super. Yeah. It's one of the best performances I've seen out of an actor, and it's fucking Rainn Wilson, you know, like comedic actor Rainn Wilson, and he's phenomenal in that movie. And I think everyone in this movie is great. All the way from the weird gold lady who dies to Chris Pratt. I think everybody was phenomenal in this movie.
Yeah, Chris Pratt really surprised me, because in not Guardians, Thor: Love and Thunder, his performance in that felt so phoned in. You know, it was just like, oh, come on, dude. Like he's really bad right now. Like he does not give 2 shits about this. And I'm like, oh, this does not bode well for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But, you know, he fucking proved me wrong on that. So I'm not upset.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that so originally so you know, I don't know if you know about the turmoil. I'm sure you do. With James Gunn, where he got fired for a minute from Guardians because there were some like tweets that came out where he was being creepy, making rape jokes or whatever about children. But he's like, hey, because back in the day, James Gunn made really edgy fucking horror movies where it was just like blood, guts, child rape, like very intense shit. And his whole style was just being a provocateur. Like that was his thing.
Yeah. He just wanted to raise some questions,
shock people. And there was also just like a time on the internet where people were just saying shocking shit just to be shocking.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
But Disney saw it. It got kind of outed, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's gross." And then he got fired, and then there was like a huge backlash, and everyone's like, "Hey, he's kind of denounced that shit a long time ago, and like, why are you firing him?" And in the meantime, while that happened, DC picked him up. He made the Suicide Squad, and Disney was like, "Fuck, we fucked up." So they got him back to make Guardians of the Galaxy. So originally, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, all that to say this, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was supposed to come out before Thor: Love and Thunder. But because of all that drama with James Gunn, it came out afterwards. But I'm glad James Gunn didn't have to deal with the Thor in the room. You know, like, what would James Gunn have done with Thor? And I think he said in an interview, he's like, I wouldn't have done anything. I would have just pretended that never happened.
It didn't happen. Yeah. That would be the best way to do it.
Or they would have maybe just made a brief mention to it, or maybe like a funny thing at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Man, what would you do?
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Taika Waititi having to deal with the Guardians, right? Like, I'm sure at the beginning of the movie he's like, "Fuck, what do I do with these guys?" You know, like it's a funny way to end Endgame, but like at the same time, it's like these characters. You can't do a whole movie with these characters together.
You can, but you have to do the whole movie with the characters.
Yeah, right. And I think both of them were like, no, I just want to do a Thor movie, or I just want to do a Guardians movie. So, yeah. So I'm glad he didn't have to deal with that. And there are some things where, like, you can tell James Gunn was like, fuck, I have to deal with this now. Like the Gamora thing, I think he handled it pretty well, all things considered. But you could tell that wasn't originally his intention with this third movie, was to have Gamora. Yeah. I think the way they handled it was great. To have it be like they don't end up together, that's phenomenal. I love that. If they ended up together, that would have been so cheesy.
Yeah, I agree.
So them going their separate ways is a good idea. Having everybody live too, it's almost like this.
That was a choice.
It's like that in and of itself is like a subversion of expectations, because it's the final one. You expect someone, probably either Rocket or Peter
Drax. Because everybody was like, yeah, it's he's not doing another movie. Drax is over with this. So Drax was one of those ones that's like, he could be dying.
Yep. Well, they did a great job of being like, these people are still alive, but it would make sense if we never saw them again in a movie.
Yeah.
Because they're all off doing their own thing now. The only one who doesn't make sense that we'd never see again is Star-Lord. Just because the ending says he will return. So
that's true. But maybe not in the theaters. He might not return in the theaters.
That's my guess. He's gonna get a Disney Plus show.
Disney show.
Yeah, that's my guess. Which that's a good idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm over Chris Pratt though. Just in general.
Me too. But actually, after seeing this movie, I'm like, I like him as Star-Lord. I do. Like I like him as Star-Lord. That was his first big thing, and I'm like, I like him. I don't hate him as Star-Lord. I hate him as a human.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't done anything like outrageous. It's just like
terrible. He just seems like a douche.
He just seems exactly. He just seems like a douche.
And
whatever.
I mean, it's easy for me to say like, fuck Chris Pratt, but also you got to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah,
and I'm one of those that believe that. Like, yeah, they're terrible people, but also they're good at that one thing. Like, you can't just deny that they made that thing because of who they are. It's like, no, they made this thing, and you like it. You're right. It's a good thing that they made. They're a shitty person, and you don't respect them. But also, I do enjoy the work of Chris Pratt in Parks and Recreation.
Yeah. And I think there can be limits on that, like separate the art from the artist. Like if someone's going out, if like OJ Simpson is announced to be in like the next MCU movie, it's like, okay, I get it. Like maybe don't see that one. But I don't know. There's nothing really that's come out against Chris Pratt. I don't want to defend him anymore. Let's move on. Okay. I don't like him. I want to make that clear. It's just like I like him as Star-Lord. He was good in this movie. I've liked him in all three of these movies. He was kind of wonky in Thor: Love and Thunder, but like, to be fair, that entire movie is kind of wonky. So
true.
I don't know. I just I can't praise James Gunn enough though. He just does things in these movies, and I don't know if he's just a big enough director that he can go to Kevin Feige and say, I'm doing this and you can't stop me. Right. Or if he is just genuinely better than everyone else who's making these movies. But like, he does things in these movies that I wish other movies would do, and not to like replicate, because I feel like that's what happened. Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and the MCU was like, oh, people like when we make a lot of jokes. Mm-hmm. But like, that shouldn't be the takeaway. The takeaway should be like, hey, be true to the vision, do something interesting, because it's not just jokes. Because he's able to do jokes while also having like very serious moments and very serious characters, and have very jokes,
serious issues.
But then on top of that, it's like the cinematography is so interesting and cool, and he's able to do this within like a CG world that most of the time you see these CG nightmares and you're just like, Jesus Christ. But you can tell like James Gunn kind of thrives in these CG worlds, where he's like, oh, it's CG. Well, we're going to get really fucking weird with it. We're going to have the camera go through the whole of this man. We're going to have the camera do a total 180 because it's fucking fake, and we can do weird shit.
Yeah.
And he's done that for like all of his movies. He did it in Suicide Squad. Like, it's like such an interestingly shot movie. Peacemaker is like so interesting in how it's made. Guardians 2, I think, is super different and weird for an MCU movie as well, where it's like super bright and colorful, and the worlds are just like vibrant and weird. And Guardians 1 feels like the most like gray and like in the MCU, so maybe he had to prove himself with that one. I don't know, but even that one, it's like it's more jokey and funny than the others. So I don't know. And all that being said, like, I'm so excited to see what this man has to do with DC, because everything he releases is fucking great.
He could make me care about DC,
right? Like, I'm sure we're gonna go see his Superman movie. Like,
oh yeah, probably.
And honestly, seeing the way he shot Adam Warlock, like the cool shots where it's like on his face and then it sort of scopes out and like zooms in on the side of him and like kind of moves around. It's like, oh, dude, that's going to be sweet when he does that with Superman. You know, like the way he did flying shots was really cool.
No, yeah, it was the cinematography in this movie was really good for it being all CG.
On top of that, like the CG worlds just make a lot of sense. I was actually talking to my sister, who is not a film buff. She doesn't care about movies at all. And she went and saw this movie yesterday with her kids. And she saw Ant-Man as well, because her kids are like super into Marvel. So she's now all caught up with the Marvel stuff. And she was like, it was weird watching this movie because it made sense where Ant-Man just felt like nonsense. And I'm like, it's funny you say that, because I feel the exact same. Ant-Man worlds felt like nonsense. There's nothing around. What is that in the distance? I have no fucking clue. But then in this movie, it's like, oh, the ship makes sense. I know where they are on the ship, you know, and like you see distant space and stuff, but you're like, oh, there's like a planet over there. There's this. It just made sense. Nowhere made sense. You look at Nowhere and you're like, this is an actual like small hideout town. Like, this makes sense. I can see where everyone goes, and you know, like,
and how it works. And
when you get to the bar in Ant-Man, right, you're like, where is this bar?
Where did this come from?
This just feels like a set that you're shooting in, and if you leave it, if you walk out of this bar, it is just fucking a Hollywood set, you know? You're like, where the fuck is this?
Yeah. You'll walk out into the desert,
Yeah.
Where everything's just cardboard around.
Where like
Yeah,
in Nowhere, you walk and you're like, oh, if I walk this way, there's probably some apartments over there. You know, there's like, it's like it made sense. And this is like the town square. Like it, yeah.
Even that like brain thing that they, you know,
the ball sack
thing that they have to break into that looks like an asshole, and then they got like the jiggly guys. It was like, how is this? This is gonna be so dumb. But then they like get inside, and it's like got hallways, and it's like a whole freaking thing, and you're like, oh, this is like where people live and where they work, and this is their job, and like you get the sense of what it is.
It reminded me of Mass Effect, like the Citadel in Mass Effect.
Kinda, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's just gonna be all jelly and look terrible and whatnot. I thought for sure it was not gonna be a good place, but I actually enjoyed that area quite a bit. As like plain Jane as it was, and the whole aesthetic was all the same. They had that like lobby that was bright and white and corporate, you know, and it's like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Yeah. It was good.
Did you know the red chick, you know, that they hold hostage or whatever? That is Ratcatcher 2.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's the girl who played Ratcatcher.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I found catch that.
Yeah, I found that out later. I was like, oh, hey, that's cool. That's cool. And then Harcourt was in it. James Gunn's wife. She's the one who gets shot in the leg. Fun fact also, you know the ugly creature that Mantis saves, and she's like, oh, I wasn't screaming about you. You look really cool. The voice actor of that was Pete Davidson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of fun little cameos. You know, we had the Nathan Fillion, who shows up in everything that James Gunn does as well. And of course, Yondu showed up again at the end, and it was cool to see him again. Yeah, even them, you know, while they had limited screen time, you know, Kraglin and Cosmo were like fun characters. I was like, I like these characters.
Yeah.
I'd be into seeing them again if they did another Guardians movie, but yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
It would be kind of cool to see Rocket with Adam Warlock and Kraglin and Cosmo.
And the girl.
Yeah, whoever that was.
Who is the little girl in Guardians?
Vila Vel.
Yeah.
Vila
Vel. Yeah. I think she's in the game too. She's a big part of the game.
Character has also been known as Quasar. So
yeah. So I'd be into another Guardians.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of different directions they could go. They're doing something with Star-Lord. They could make another Guardians movie. They could call it like Guardians of the Galaxy, the new batch or whatever. Next generation.
Yeah. That would be funny.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, the next generation.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty funny.
They could do that. Obviously, it'd have to be a new director. They could do like a Gamora movie, you know, like a Ravagers movie. I don't know if they will. But yeah, there's just a lot of different directions. They could do a Mantis-like show. I think could be cool. Just seeing Mantis doing stuff with her weird pets.
To see like a Mantis Drax show. You know, or movie even.
Yeah. I feel like that's what the holiday special was.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Yeah. I have a feeling we're not going to see Drax again. It just seems like Dave Bautista doesn't want to do it. Of everyone, he seems like the one that's like, I'm out the most. He was the one who fought the hardest against Disney to bring James Gunn back. And I have this feeling he might have burned some bridges when that happened. So I have this feeling he's not going to come back. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these people came over to the James Gunn DC universe as well.
Oh yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure.
I saw some people saying the lady who plays Mantis could be a good Starfire, which is kind of interesting, and like
that is interesting.
I think that's kind of fun. Obviously, people are saying Chris Pratt should play Booster Gold. I don't want that to happen, but it's probably gonna happen. And then there's been a few different people for Batista. People have said Bane.
I could see Bane.
Bane, and then some people even said Batman. I don't know.
That's weird. I don't know about Batman.
That'd be a weird one. I mean, it could be interesting, just like a real beefy Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He could do it, I guess. It's just, I don't know if that's what I imagine Batman being, but yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for DC, man. Anyway,
yeah.
You got any final thoughts on this?
No, not really. I think it's a good movie and everybody should go see it.
I want to talk about the cute little animals and like how intense this movie was as well, I guess.
Okay.
I think for a Disney movie, this is like far more like probably the most intense MCU movie. You think that's out of line? You think that's...
I don't know. Endgame was pretty or not Endgame. Infinity War was pretty intense.
Yeah,
but this one deals with a lot of dark shit.
It felt like Endgame felt like, because you know those people are coming back. You know, you're like, I know they're coming back. It didn't hit as hard as this one, where like there's cute little animals being abused. Most of that does take place off screen, but just seeing the aftermath of that is like pretty intense. Seeing the cute animals like die and then he's just surrounded by their death. There's also a scene like at the beginning where Adam Warlock shoots Rocket in the chest and there's just a pool of blood on his chest. And you're like, whoa.
It's intensely violent, like the way he's dying. That it makes you real sad. And it happens really early too. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, like right at the beginning of the movie. Rocket is sort of the MacGuffin of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And then also just like the scene where he's scratching his face and then seeing the aftermath of his face. It's pretty intense stuff. And then also the way Peter kills that guy, the guy who had the key, that was pretty fucking intense. It's like, Jesus Christ.
It's true.
I mean, nothing compares to that scene in the first Captain America where he pushes the dude into the propeller. That was pretty baller. But you remember that scene?
I don't.
There's a scene in the first Captain America. They're fighting on an airplane, and he pushes one of the enemies into a propeller, and he just turns into a mist.
Yeah, I do remember that.
That scene's pretty intense, but I don't know. And just like the themes of this movie are also very dark.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The only theme I can think of that's like close to as dark as this is maybe Black Widow, when it's dealing with like trafficking of children. Because this is also dealing with that. But I just feel like it's easy to sympathize with the animals, and also like it's a very real thing, and sort of I don't know, it makes you question a lot about yourself too, because you're like, this is how they treat animals to test drugs, like for real. This is how they treat animals to get our food, for real. Like, we do treat animals this way, so it's like a very real thing. Yeah. So I don't know. It's pretty.
There's a lot. Up. There's a lot in this movie, and I don't think we can go over all of it because it'll just keep popping up like new questions and stuff. You know. Yeah. But yeah, we should rank this though.
And also, yeah, I don't know, and it has child trafficking in it as well. You know, he's like,
it's got a lot of shit. It's got child trafficking. It's got like, you know, it's got an end of the world sort of situation, but you don't really care about that a whole lot because you don't spend time with the characters. But a whole world does blow up.
And you see a couple of them, like one holding a baby just explodes, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's an intense movie.
Well, and a guy like, you know, Adam Warlock turns a dude into dust, and it's like a comedic moment. True. But like, I was like, damn, that's pretty intense.
and his pet is like a thing that is around. The guy who dies has a pet, and it's like, fuck, that's really sad.
Yeah.
So,
and also the first ever MCU movie with an F-bomb.
Really? It's the first one, huh?
That's the first F word.
What a weird choice.
Yeah.
Get in the fucking car.
Yeah, get in the fucking car. So I heard James Gunn talk about it, and he said that originally there was an F word in one of the Russo brothers. It was one of them. I don't know, one of the Captain Americas or the Avengers movies.
Gotcha.
And Kevin Feige told him, like, they didn't do it because they didn't want that to be their legacy. And he's like, are you sure you want this to be your legacy? And James Gunn is like, you're just making me want to do it even more. Yeah. Come on. And apparently that line was improvised. Oftentimes James Gunn has a mic and he has the actors wear earpieces, and he's like, hey, try this line. And they tried it, and they just thought it was so funny that they decided to keep it in the movie. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
First ever F-bomb in the MCU. Maybe the last.
Take it. It's pretty good.
I guess Deadpool's coming, so that's going to be the MCU. So
that's true. All right, let's rank this.
Yes.
I got other shit to do.
All right. Okay. Do we rank it in A, B, C, or D?
It's definitely in an A.
I agree.
Definitely A tier.
Okay, so in A, at number 1, we've got Avengers Endgame. Number 2, Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. Number 3, Loki. Number 4, Iron Man. Number 5, Avengers Infinity War. Number 6, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 7, Thor Ragnarok. Number 8, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 9, WandaVision. At number 10, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Where would you rank it within the A tier?
Within the A tier, I would put it right underneath Shang-Chi, I believe.
I'm right there with you.
Are you really?
I'm like so torn on it being above or below it.
See, the thing I think about Shang-Chi is it has more practical things. The sets, I believe, for me, are better in this than the sets in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I like the practical elements of Shang-Chi a lot more.
The action is so cool.
Yeah, the spaces they go to, the areas where they fight in, the grounded nature of it. I really like that a lot. Where this is a space romp, and it's got to be in space, and so I think that's the one thing that's holding it back from being above it. If I could, they would be like right next to each other because it's different.
Yeah,
they're the same, but they're different, and we got to put them somewhere.
To me, they're equal. Yeah, I think they're really both fucking great. And honestly, Endgame is like, it's so biased, but I just love Endgame so much. So okay, yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
Guardians. We did it. There it is. I'll just do that for now.
All right.
So yeah, that's our rankings. One day we'll come back. We'll re-rank all of these and put them into the proper tiers.
God. Re-rank them?
We could do an entire show just of re-ranking.
I mean, yeah, but not changing anything on it.
Yeah.
The only one that I'm rethinking about changing is Loki season 1. That's it.
Just
the only one that
bringing it down a little. Yeah.
It might not be as good as I remember it.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know.
I have. So.
This is still such a wild list.
It is. It's fucking bizarre, crazy. My ranking is not close to this, except for a couple of things here and there.
Yeah, me either. They're all in this general vicinity, but
it's for the most part,
it's pretty different. Anyway,
all right,
that's the show.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Check us out on YouTube at Loadercast. Check us out on Twitter. Check us. Fucking just find us. We're here. If you're watching this, you know all the avenues. Just find us and follow us along, or
watch us on Spotify, dude. It's so easy. Just look up Loadercast.
Spotify's easy. Loadercast on Spotify.
Find it. You'll find it. It's right there.
Easy. Just talk with us. That's what we need.
And while you're on Spotify, just look up Last Week in Games. It's right there, baby.
It's right there.
Look it up
every week.
It's the best.
So it's one of those things you could fill your life with if you've got nothing else to do.
And let me tell you,
in the background.
Let me tell you right now, we're the first people on YouTube to ever talk about Guardians of the Galaxy.
That is true.
No one's done it.
No, yeah. Anybody that's done it is copying us.
They're copying us.
So we're the first ones.
Yeah.
Pioneers. We are the pioneers of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Everyone else, fucking losers.
Well,
idiots.
They're the biggest form of flattery is mimicry.
True.
So, they're flattering us is all they're doing. That's that. All right. See you guys later. Peace.
Nice. What a time to be alive.
I gotta get going. I really do.
Okay.
I'm busy.
Bye.
So, adios.
Look at this bitch. What's he busy with? What could he possibly be doing? Just kidding. Should I play fucking Jedi Survivor right now? I might take a break, go eat lunch, and then come back and play some Jedi Survivor for a bit. Yeah, how's that sound? That sounds great. Let's do that. I think I'll be back. We'll play some Jedi Survivor, and then